Just come in. Okay, so why don't we just start with the homework? So how's the homework for you?
The homework, it was pretty easy. Yeah. I think the warm up, right? The warm up parts, it was like so it like took a bit longer than I expected. But
Hmm.
other than that, it was pretty easy. Yeah.
No questions on anything?
No.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so if there are no homework questions, then we can just go ahead and get started with the hack rank problems for today. So, the first problem is called Beautiful Days at the Movies, and I will pull that up right now. Okay, it's this one. Hang on. This one. Uh, it's called Beautiful Days at the Movies. Um, it's a pretty mathy problem, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. It's not super difficult. Um, but yeah, I mean, I won't say too much because I want you to read it yourself. But let me know if you have any questions, and um, yeah, just go for it, and let me know when you finish. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So what was your solution?
So I actually made like a new array list, and then I added a for while loop. Like
Uh-huh.
Like, yeah, so it's like I just made it a lot more complicated than it
Yeah.
should be. I feel like I could have simplified.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
than that, it was fine. It was fine.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, you solved it like pretty quickly anyway, regardless. So, like, honestly, as long as it works, it doesn't like, it doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, this is just like a sample solution. I'm sure there are like, you know, a bajillion other ways to do it, as I always say. So like for me, the first thing that pops into mind, which I'm also sure you thought about, was like you really just need to like figure out how you're gonna reverse like the numbers is honestly probably the hardest part. And so like like I just decided to make two arrays. So one array I keep all the regular numbers, and then my B array I keep all the reverse numbers. And the way I reverse the numbers is just like I made it into a string, and then I just picked off like the indexes of the string like backwards. Another way you can do it is like I'm pretty sure there's a formula where you can use like a while loop, and then you like if you know how any number mod 10 gives you like the rightmost digit. So you can use like a while loop and then pick off the rightmost digits and add it to like a string or something. You can also, is that what you did? I'm not sure. Or no. Okay, okay, got you. Yeah. So then you like made like a third way, right? So it's in different ways. But regardless, I think that like the hardest part of this problem is just making the reverse numbers. And then once you make the reverse numbers, it's pretty simple. You just have to find the difference between the numbers and then see if that difference is divisible by k, right? So yeah, um, when all is said and done, it should work. And just like as the problems get harder, like I think a good tip for you is to look at the constraints of the problem. So like every time you get a problem, look at the constraints. So like in this case, the constraints are your input size, like your numbers, can go up to like 10 to the 6 and like 10 to the 9, right? That's like a million and a billion, right? And so so these are like 10 to the 6, 2 times 10 to the 6 is the upper bound for I and J, right? Which basically gives you the range of numbers you have to look through. And then your K, which is like what you're divisible by, can go up to 10 to the 9. So like in this case, because you can see that your upper bound for I, like the range of numbers you need to look at, which is like 2 times 10 to the 6, is like kind of a big number, right? Um, you know that like you're basically the size of the constraint of every problem will tell you kind of how to solve it. So if you have a problem with constraint that's like 10 to the 9 or something that's like really, really big, then you know that you don't have the luxury of doing a bunch of like nested loops and stuff because you're gonna run out of time. Does that make sense? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah. On the other hand, if you have a problem with really small constraints, like let's say it doesn't go above like 1,000 or something, the input doesn't go above 1,000, then you know they probably are expecting you to do some more complicated like multiple nested for loop like pattern, repeating pattern or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, it's just like a tip for you because especially because like you're starting to solve like harder problems, and this will be really helpful when you start doing competition problems, right? So really keep an eye out for those constraints. But yeah, great job. So the next problem is called viral advertising. So this one, wait, hang on. I don't want to share my screen. Okay. Yeah, this one's it. This one I think should be simpler. Keep in mind what I just said, right? Um, and yeah, I mean, other than that, just go for it. It's called viral advertising. And let me know when you finish. Yeah. Yeah, so this problem was pretty straightforward, right? Um, so they literally they're asking you for the cumulative number of likes after a certain number of days, and they give you the pattern, which makes it simple because all you have to do is follow the pattern, right? So like again, I'm sure there's a bunch of different ways you can do it, but I'd say, one of the simplest ways is literally just to follow their like shared, liked, and cumulative um, numbers, and then literally just go through n number of times and calculate like the number of cumulative people each time, right? Pretty simple. Is this what you did or something similar?
Yeah, I did something a lot similar to that.
Yeah, right. Pretty simple. They basically like tell you how to do the problem. Okay. Perfect. Great job. So, the next question is called circular array rotation. So this one's a little trickier. Okay. Yeah, so this one I think is a medium problem. So it's a bit trickier or something like that. But yeah, so they're basically rotating numbers in an array like k number of times, and then they want you to return the new numbers at certain indexes. So I'll go ahead and let you read it, and I'll go ahead and let you solve it. If you have any questions, just ask me, and just let me know when you finish. Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
keep going.
so I made a for loop, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the very beginning, I made a for loop, and then like int I equals 0, I is less than k, and then I plus plus, right? Because and then I did a dot add, a dot get, and then parentheses a dot size minus 1, and then right underneath that I wrote a dot remove a dot size minus 1 in parentheses, right? And then below that I did list integer q equals new array list, and then I did another for loop int I colon queries, and then I did q dot add a dot get I, and then I returned a q, and it worked.
Okay, so you mind like summarizing that in like simple words, like what you're like separate from the code, like kind of just what your like overarching like strategy was. If that makes sense.
Uh, so I would remove the how do I say this? Mm, I removed the furthermost to the left, and I would move it to the right, and
Mm-hmm.
then uh I inputted that in an array list,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would just add that loop again and again in that array list.
Oh, wait, do
Does
you wanna
that
share your screen? Yeah, yeah, that helps. I'm just like interested in your solution. It seems very interesting.
um so I can't yeah, I can't share my
Oh,
screen. Yeah, yeah. So like I'll like send you the
code,
my
yeah.
code. Yeah.
Let's take a look. Mm, mm-hmm. Nice. That is that is very good. Um, that is like literally that like I love your solution. It's like the way the problem was like explained, right? Very simple stuff. So that's great.
I was missing
Um,
the
mhm.
array list part, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
it's the easy.
yeah. So, honestly, like I think your solution is simpler than mine. Which so I really like your solution, right? But again, there's like a bajillion ways to solve it, like every problem, right? So, um, for me, the way I chose to do this was like I made my array list of answers to, return. And then I basically made an array of numbers to keep track of the indexes of the like changed indexes of each number inside the array list they give us. And so there's a formula, right? So I didn't actually like go ahead and move everything. I just use like a formula to calculate the new index of each number after k rotations, which is it's this. It's not super complicated. You could figure it out if you just look at the example input. But basically, once I calculated the new indexes, right? I just go through and I basically add all of those numbers to a brand new array. And this array is just like the point of this array is just to keep track of like new index like number, right? Which just makes it really easy because for my like answer array list, I just have to go through and add like at this index, just add this number, right? But yeah, this problem, so turns out it wasn't a medium difficulty, it was the easy difficulty, but like the success rate is a lot lower on this problem than like the other ones. So like normally they're like 95-ish, and this one was like 80 or something. So this one was definitely like a bit trickier. But like yeah, I mean, like I'm really glad that you're able to like work your way through it, right? So yeah. Perfect. So we are exactly at 8:05 right now. So why don't you go ahead and take a 10-minute break, and then we'll go ahead and finish with like the last one or two problems for class.
Okay.
Okay, see you soon. Okay, so the next problem is called um, jumping on the clouds revisited. So I'll just go ahead and look for it. Um, this one's basically like about a game, and you have like your avatar like has like an energy level when they jump from cloud to cloud, and you just have to calculate their final energy level. So it's not super hard. It's pretty straightforward. I'll let you go ahead and read it. If you have any questions, let me know and go for it. Yeah, shouldn't take you super long. Wait, it looks like this is what you're talking about? It kind of looks like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so this is called a do while. It's basically like um it's basically like a while loop except um there's like you have to like do this thing first. So like in this case, inside your main method you have in count equals one. and then do this. So this will run once, and then you enter this thing, like this while conditional. So it's like normally inside like a normal while loop, it's like while something is while some condition is true, uh, do the stuff inside. So the point of a do
Oh,
while is
so
that
the
you
do loop
run.
is like so you it does something first and then it does the while loop,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, basically. Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay,
yeah,
okay. Thank you.
yeah. Um, so yeah, let me go ahead and just show you what like a sample solution could look like. So this is mine. Um, it's pretty like short and straightforward. Like it really just follows exactly what they say to do. So they say that like while you're not at the starting index, so starting index is zero, starting cloud is index zero. So I just did like a while loop. So while you're not at cloud zero, right? Just like add your cloud position, so I plus equals k, mod it by the length so it doesn't go over, and then just subtract one from the energy, and then um if you land on like a storm cloud, then you just have to subtract two more from the energy, right? It's pretty straightforward. You see just this one caveat was like the start boolean I made just to make sure like the thing actually ran, right? But here it would have been a good idea to use a do while loop, right? If that's what you did. Um, but yeah, so hope that was okay for you. Okay, so we have time for I think one more question. Um, so this one is called extra long factorials. So let me see. This one is a medium problem, I think, but it's not super difficult.
Okay.
Yeah, let me see. Um, I'm gonna pull this up. So this one, I think you can knock out hopefully pretty quickly. Basically they're just gonna give you a number and they want you to return the factorial of the number. The only like caveat is that like the numbers can get pretty big. So they suggest that you use the big integer class to handle this. So like this problem is very straightforward. This problem is, I think, more a test of like how well can you like um adapt and like learn how to use like a new class, right? So this is like a really important skill in Java, especially because like you're gonna have to learn how to do this a lot, right? Whenever you learn like a new data structure or a new class type, like a map or set or whatever, like now you have like big integer, right? Like you have to learn how to like look these things up and like understand like the methods and just like learn them on the fly, right? So this is a really important skill. So I think this will be a very valuable like problem for you to do, right? So yeah, I want you to go ahead. So obviously, like keep in mind the internet is open source, right? I like really encourage you to like look up how to use look up the big integer class, look up whatever you need to solve this problem, as long as it's not like solving the problem itself. Right? But yeah, so go for
And
it.
by big internet class, like what does it mean by that? Like is there
What
like
do you mean? Huh?
special um things set out for big integer or is it just a class for this exact code?
No, no, big integer is like an actual Java class. It's real. Like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it has its own methods and everything. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Then all right.
yeah. So go ahead and go for it. Let me know if you have any questions or when you finish. Yeah, so I'll just review the extra long factorials problem really quickly. So like, yeah, I mean, you really just have to look at the big integer class and like how to use each of its methods, right? So like you just make a variable to store the answer. You just have to multiply each of the numbers in the factorial. And then like this is the way I did it. You might have done something different, but you have to make sure all the data types line up. So like when you use like the multiply method for big integer, your argument has to be like a big integer or something like that. And then when you make a new big integer, your argument has to be like a string or something, right? So like it's just like keeping making sure like you don't throw any errors, right? And then just returning your answer at the end. So you're printing it out. So yeah, honestly, pretty straightforward, right? And very good practice for how to, how to like look up stuff when you code, right? Very important. So I'll just run this. Yeah, perfect, just like that. Okay, so perfect. Let me take a picture real quick. Okay, so smile on three. One, two, three. Okay, perfect. Let me upload that. Okay, and then before I forget, let me also put in the homework for today. Um, yeah. So what's the date? 20. Okay, yeah. So everything's uploaded. And yeah, I mean, if you have no other questions, thanks for coming today, and I'll see you later. Yeah,
All right.
see you, man.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.